How does one do a pendulum hypnotic induction? Stick around and let's find out. Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian David Phillips, and today we're going to play with pendulums. I was asked a question, and the question is simply, Dear Dr. Phillips, how do you do a pendulum hypnosis induction? Straightforward, simple, to the point. Yeah, let's see. Now, pendulum inductions are classics. They've been around a very, very long time, and they're usually based upon eye fixation. In the movies or bad stage shows, you might see the hypnotist holding a pocket watch. Look at the watch, and they hold it in front of the person saying, watch it moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're in my power. Well, you can actually do that, and I've done many, many sessions with a pocket watch. I've got a few, or pendulums. I literally have hundreds of these suckers. I collect them, and I have favorites that I use a lot. I also have a whole bunch of these cheap plastic pendulums that I give to clients and students or strangers on the street, along with a pendulum answer card for auto questioning. And I'll just put the link up here so you can go to a website that teaches you how to do that. But for now, the question is about pendulum hypnosis inductions. There are many variations. I prefer the variation that I use, which is not for the hypnotist to hold the pendulum, but for the trance partner, the client or volunteer, or the random person you're playing with. Now, why do I do that? I do that for a number of reasons. I ask them to hold it so that the person becomes an active partner in the hypnosis. I also engender intensification of imaginative involvement through expectancy and some interesting things that I say. I'll use a metaphor with a particular pendulum, for instance. First, let's take a look at an example session. This is with a young woman from her first multiple session. This is actually one of my most popular individual video sessions on my YouTube channel, but she did a whole section of suggestibility effects with me, and I'm just going to show the pendulum effect where she holds it at eye level, and I give the suggestion for ideomotor movement. Now, ideomotor movement is an automatism. That is, the unconscious mind moves the pendulum. She's not consciously shaking it. It's just swinging as if by itself. It's not spirits, it's not ghosts, it's not aliens from the fifth dimension. It's her unconscious mind using muscles that she's not normally aware of, so it feels as if the pendulum is moving by itself, but actually her unconscious mind is moving it. Okay? Now, I do that for a number of reasons. It gets the unconscious enlisted in the process itself. The unconscious becomes a partner, if you will, in the hypnosis, and so off we go to the races, so to speak. I also give suggestions for eye fatigue and for other types of fatigue for that reason, enlisting the unconscious. I do want to point out that's one of my absolutely favorite pendulums. I do have a couple hundred pendulums, literally, and that's one of my favorites because it's a nice crystal pendulum, and inside is a crystal structure that really does look like a spiral galaxy, and so I can engage the imagination by popping that in there as a metaphor for her to follow, or for whomever to follow. So let's go ahead and take a look at that example first. Before, right? Yeah. Okay, I want you to hold the pendulum up. This one's a nice one because if you look right in there, you can see that this crystal has a galaxy inside. It's the Milky Way. And if you look really close, right on the spiral edge, you can see just a small planet. Go ahead and imagine you can see closer. And around that small sun, there's a planet floating around. Now what I want you to imagine, just imagine the pendulum begins to move left and right. All by itself, the pendulum begins to move left and right, left and right. And imagine as you watch it moving by itself, it's turning in circles now, turning in circles, that's right. And imagine it starts to relax you. Imagine your body relaxing, imagine your eyelids getting heavier and heavier. And as it begins to turn even wider, even more, your eyes begin to get heavier and heavier. In fact, your eyelids begin to blink more and more. Eyelids getting so heavy, they just need to close, but you got to keep them open and looking at the pendulum. In a moment, the pendulum will stop moving. Your arm will fall and you will go even more deeply relaxed. 3, 2, 1. Relax all the way down. That's right. Breathe in. Breathe out. Relax. Deeper and deeper. Now you can see straight away that this process doesn't have to take a long time. I'll teach pendulum inductions in my speed hypnosis courses. I know there are folks who take longer. I've actually seen someone take 20, 30 minutes in a pendulum induction with them holding it and the person watching it. But typically when I run the process, it's going to take anywhere between 30 seconds to 4.5 or 5 minutes at the most. 5 minutes is a really long induction, and usually I get bored and just zap them right away. There are shortcuts you can use if you're an experienced, competent, knowledgeable hypnotist, as I am. All right, now the next example, let me show you another example. It's another technique I use. Now this next example is a little longer, but it does something else, and that is I ask the woman, the young woman, to hold the pendulum above eye level. Now you keep the head straight, you're not bending up, but you keep the head up, and so the eyes are in a stress position to see it. That adds arm fatigue, the muscles get tired, as well as eye fatigue. But more importantly, that position of the eyes looking up, that's actually a very common position for sacred postures. That's why so many religions and sacred spaces have things set up in the sacred space or the temple or the shrine that the idol or holy object or crucifix or preacher or whatever is higher than the worshipers, so that when they're sitting, their eyes are looking up. And that looking up position correlates really well with going into a trance space. That's probably why the Spiegel eye test is so successful at finding high responders for suggestibility. If you don't know the Spiegel eye test, don't worry, I'll make a video sometime, or you can check out my web pages and look it up. I've got a lot of stuff on my website, so go ahead and check that out. But let's look at another example where she's holding it up and you can see the eye stress. Now, I'll typically put my hand underneath the pendulum, especially if it's one of my expensive crystal ones, so I can catch it. But I don't always. But if it's my expensive crystal one, I'm going to catch that sucker. She's using a cheap plastic one, pretty much like this one. I buy them in bulk and then string them myself and print out these nice little cards for folks. Once again, there's a website you can check out for auto-questioning for that. But as she has fatigue and as she begins responding to the relaxation and trance or hypnosis suggestions, you can see the arm beginning to come down. The eyes, as they come down and follow it, moving from side to side, but also following it down, you see that she begins to get tired and her eyes eventually just close. And boom, there it is. So let's check out that example. What is it?
Pendulum.
A pendulum. Amazing. Okay, I'd like you to hold the pendulum.
Okay.
And I'd like you to hold the pendulum. So, right there. Now I want you to look at the pendulum. Okay? Is that comfortable? That's okay, I'm comfortable, so that's all I'm worried. Now I want you to just look at the pendulum. And as you look at the pendulum, I want you to imagine that the pendulum can begin to move. And as the pendulum begins to move, perhaps it begins to move in another direction. Just keep looking at it. Just keep looking at it. And as you look at that pendulum, I want you to pick a space inside it. And as the pendulum begins to go around and around and around, look at that one spot inside. And notice how your eyes can just get heavier and heavier. Keep looking at that spot, but allow your eyes to feel heavy, as if you're being drawn within. And as the pendulum begins to move even more, notice how your eyes can blink and your arm can be heavy, and you can feel that really incredible need to just close down, but keep looking at the spot as the pendulum begins to move more and more. And as the arm becomes heavy, the eyes become heavy. As the arm becomes heavy, the eyes become heavy. The pendulum becomes heavy because you relax more and more. Now as it begins to get heavier and heavier, your eyes getting heavier and heavier, and it moves around and around, and you can feel yourself relaxing more and more. So only as quickly as you need to relax, all the way down in your mind, all the way down in your body, all the way down in your spirit, that pendulum can begin to lower slowly and slowly. And as it does, but only as quickly as your unconscious mind allows you to relax more and more, as it lowers, your eyes lower, your ears become heavy, your face and head become heavy, your body becomes heavy and relaxed. And as it lowers, your lids of your eyes become heavy and they lower too. But only so far as you go all the way down into deep, deep, deep relaxation. Deeper, deeper, deep relaxation. And notice how as it lowers and lowers, your eyes lower, your lids lower, until they all just shut down now. All the way down. Deep, deeper, deeply relaxed. Gentle and relaxed. Gentle and relaxed. That's right. You're doing perfectly. Now that was a little longer. That was a 4-minute session, but we can cut that sucker in half. Here's an example. Since I've had 2 ladies in my office at the university, I thought let's have one in another environment. Here's an example of the holding it high induction. That's a speed session. This is actually from a speed hypnosis course that I taught in Malaysia, and you can see how quickly the gentleman responds. Now, when I first ask him to hold it up, you can see that the string is very long. Well, a simple technique you can use to enhance your hypnosis is to just shorten the string, so when he's holding it up, he's not too high up. He can just hold it here, and he can still have it above eye level. That's a neat thing about things on strings, is you don't have to cut and restring. You can just grab in the middle and pull up, and I have effectively shortened the string just for your use. So if you have a lot of these and you give them to clients, and some clients will have short reaches, some will have long reaches, they can They don't have to freak out or anything. You can just shorten that sucker to an appropriate length. Now it does mean that the arch is going to be a little shorter for the movement, but for most folks that's okay, because when you're doing a hypnosis inductions, it's close enough to the face that even a small movement, idiomotor, and this is idiomotor by the way, I'm not consciously telling it to move. My pendulum, she like to dance. It's just doing it by itself. Well, by my unconscious mind moving things around in ways. Unfortunately, this is not a 3D video, so you can't see really clearly when it goes into a spinning circle. Like right now, it's just whipping around like an airplane rotor or a helicopter rotor, and all it looks like on the screen is just back and forth. This is back and forth, but this is a whirligig. Do it. Whirligig. Go, go. Come on. You can go faster than that. And there we go. So let's see that example. To hold my incredibly valuable, precious crystal made of 100% inexpensive plastic. And I want you to hold it right there. Now, why do I want it up here? I'm letting him hold it. I want it up here because here, let's shorten it just a little bit. Okay? There we go. That's all. Now, I want it up here for a couple reasons. One is fatigue will set in. Two, I want it above eye level, so he has to look up at it. Pick a spot at the pendulum and look at that spot. I want you just to imagine that pendulum beginning to move by itself. Just allow it to move. That's right. And as it moves, I want you to look at that spot. And as you look at that spot, I'd like you to imagine your eyes getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Just keep looking at that spot as you breathe in and breathe out, relaxing more and more, letting your eyes get heavier and heavier and heavier. And as your eyes get heavier, your arm gets heavier. And as your arm gets heavier, your eyes get heavier. And you find yourself, just let yourself go even more deeply relaxed. And as you find the arm slowly beginning to move down, the eyes shut, and you go into a very deep state. And you can let go now, even deeper, deeper. Well, that's pendulums. All you really have to do is hold the pendulum up, give suggestions for tension, relaxation, and going into trance. Now, after they're induced into hypnosis, the eyes shut, they go down, then you start doing your other compounding suggestions and testing suggestions and make sure that they are in hypnosis rather than simple relaxation. I hope this has been useful for you. I hope you found it entertaining as well. And if not, then, well, too bad for you, you silly person. But I do indeed hope that those of you who are hypnotists now have an understanding of how to use our friend the pendulum. Please remember, and please do, click subscribe, because when you click subscribe, an angel gets its wings. Or it just means that you can get notifications when we have new videos on the YouTube channel. And that's awesome too. Maybe not as cool as an angel getting its wings, but we can pretend that happens too if you like. You really can believe that. I don't mind. But just click subscribe and you'll get notifications from YouTube like you do for all your subscriptions. On Tuesdays, I rant or talk about hypnosis news, and I do that every week. Right now, that's the schedule every week. Tuesdays is Hypno News or rants, and sometimes I rant a lot, and so there is that. You can enjoy that. Wednesday is tips, tricks, and questions. I answer your questions. If you have a question, be sure to comment or send me a message, and maybe I will make a video answering your questions. And if I don't, that's okay. Every week we talk about some new trick, some new tip, some new hypnotic method or trance method. Thursdays, Thursdays are special. Thursdays is trance time, and I guide you through an authentic trance experience of your very own. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's not so short. You can play with the processes and just jump into it. The trick to trance time, imagine as if you really feel it. Ooh, who would have thunk? Once a month we do have webinars or web-based seminars and things like that where we go into more detail, and you're perfectly invited to join us live. That means you get to ask questions and I answer them interactively right then, right there, at that moment. As much as possible, we do try to, notice the word try, because sometimes we fail. But we do attempt to record those. The YouTube recordings always suck, so I also try to make a copy so that we have a better version, which we upload within a day or two of the webinars. But mostly, and this is really what I really want you to do, and that is, remember, click subscribe and like our videos and share our videos and do all sorts of neat things on your own. Hopefully the techniques that we share with you are useful for you. If they are, let us know. Let us know we're doing things you like. And if we're doing stuff you don't like, let us know that too, but be gentle, please. And if you have questions, ask. I make these videos for you. I've been teaching hypnosis and trance techniques and doing all sorts of things for many, many years. I'm an old man, and I do have a lot of interest related to hypnosis and things like that. So please let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll make an effort to do something that helps you, because I like helping you. I really do. That's not just BS to get you to click subscribe. I really do want to help you be a better hypnotist or trance worker or a trance partner, someone who enjoys going into trance. But mostly right now, I want to say thank you for listening. You made it all the way to the end, so you get to live, trance, and prosper. This is Dr. Brian David Phillips saying bye-bye. Bye.